how has been the reception for that appeal up until now? Has it been good? Have you raised money?
Actually, that's what I'm sending messages back to London to try and find out how well it's doing. But I think it will do reasonably, given that there is quite a lot of news about Sri Lanka. Often the challenge that we face as Save the Children is where we're working, we know there's huge needs, but the British public doesn't know about it because it's not in the media. Sri Lanka is one of those situations that is in the media. So I think people, and a lot of people have visited Sri Lanka in the British public, either through tourism or other reasons. And so I'm hopeful that we will get a good response to our appeal.
Right. And I say the children's focus is children, but
that's right.
Given the situation in Vavuniya and the enormity of this sudden emergency, which are the areas that you're concentrating on?
Well, actually, children's needs are different from the general population, and even in an emergency situation, that's the case. So at the moment, we're very concerned about children who are separated from their families, who are, in transit. Some are being taken to some camps. The children might be taken to some camps. I was just hearing a story just now about a little girl who had been separated from her family, and she really wasn't even talking anymore. And so, even though there are physical needs like food and water and all these things, that's very important, and we've got to respond to that as well. As you say, that's actually the case for grown-ups as well, but particularly for children, it's about getting them reunited with their families.
And what kind of plans have you put in place to achieve this, to unite these children who've been separated? What kind of action have you launched?
Well, Save the Children has got a tried and tested methodology for how to do this, because of course there are risks when you then do put children back together with grown-ups, in terms of have you got the right people and put them in touch with the right, the right child in touch with the right adults. And so we've got quite sophisticated child protection processes that we're able to go through with child protection officers who are trained in this, and we have sent some of those people to the field, and they are beginning to work on that area. But I have to say that up until now, we've really been focusing very much on the very first phase of emergency distributions. So we've reached, I think, about 37,000 children and their families with things like household kits, hygiene kits, children's clothes, children's shoes, blankets, so some of the basic sort of physical things that are needed by families and their children in those camps.
And most of these people have been fleeing for almost a year. And there's multiple displacements, things like that. How important is two things: this immediate assistance to them, and what should relief agencies like Save the Children and others be concentrating on the longer term? What should they be looking at? First, how important is the immediate relief that goes into these people?
Well, both are important, and both in terms. We have just been focusing, and will need to scale up a lot. And in terms of that funding I talked about that we hope to secure, quite a big chunk of that will go into the relief, the immediate response in terms of food, water, household kits, hygiene kits, special equipment for children, for pregnant mothers, breastfeeding mothers. So that is absolutely fundamental. Also making sure that children have got access to, my staff were just telling me that a lot of the children that they come across in the camps are not very well, so making sure that there is healthcare, basic healthcare available for them. So that is absolutely critical, but at the same time, the helping children get reunited with their families and also overcome kind of trauma that they've been through, as you say, having been sort of moved around. Many of those children will have never even have known peace, and they will be quite traumatised by their experience. So what we're also doing is we're setting up in every one of the camps a child-friendly space where parents can leave their children, they can go and visit, to play, to meet other children, to start to do some basic reading, writing, drawing pictures, and we know from experience around the world that this really helps children to sort of get back into a sense of normality. So we are setting up those camps, and we'll be doing more of those as well. But as you say, in the longer term, camps is It's no place for a child to be growing up. So what we're going to be really focusing on in the longer term is what are the processes for getting these families back, getting them out of the camps and back to where they came from or where they want to go to, so that they can continue living in a safe and much more normal environment than in a camp, which is never going to be the right answer.
Right. I mean, how has Save the Children's work increased from April 20th? I mean, numbers-wise and project-wise, how have they increased?
Well, it's scaling up all the time, actually. As I say, we just, in the last several months, reached the 37,000 children and adults as well, because clearly those children are living, you know, in most cases as part of families. And what we want to do is scale up even more. I mean, we're hearing every day, as I'm sure you are, there's more and more people arriving. It's quite a chaotic situation in many of those camps. Just heard about more camps being set up as well. So that's really what this appeal is all about, enabling us to scale up the work that we're doing.
And